Time was you bought a hatchback as a compromise car. You wanted something bigger, but the bank wouldn't allow you to mortgage your firstborn. Hatchbacks worked well as a compromise car. They offered cheap, reliable, if somewhat joyless motoring. Now, of course, things have changed. There are actually hatchbacks out there that you'd want to own over a sedan. And this behind me is one of them, the brand new Hyundai i20 Elite. And here it is. They've gone ahead and thrown out the somewhat overwrought kind of swishy fluidic design and replaced it with something harder edged, masculine, efficient, yet stylish. If you blacked out the logos and showed this car to someone in Europe, they'd think Alfa Romeo. In fact, the only better looking hatchback in our opinion available in India right now is the A-Class, and that's a Mercedes. To be a little honest here, I've always had a bias against Hyundai cars. Always considered them too flash for their own good. They're always stuffed with features, sure, but then somewhat unsound under the hood. The engines look good on paper, but never really held up out in the real world. All that changed, I think, about 3 or 4 years ago when Hyundai started introducing cars like the Santa Fe and the Elantra and the new Sonata. And now that quality is filtering down to the smaller cars as well, we think. We've seen it with the Grand i10 and with the Accent, and now we're seeing it in this, the second generation i20. As with cars of this kind, you're getting two engines to choose from, a diesel and a petrol, but both engines are carry forwards from the outgoing models. Now, should you choose to go diesel, the engine that you're getting is the 1.489 bhp common rail that you're familiar with. But today we're driving the petrol. Again, it's the same 1.2 litre unit from the older car, and the stats remain the same at 82 bhp and 150 newtons of torque. However, Hyundai say that the engine has been worked on for better low-end performance, which makes sense considering that low-end, low-gear driving is what most people are going to use their i20s for anyway. We've been driving this car a fair bit now, both on the monsoon-ravaged roads of Mumbai and out here in the country, where a bit of rain is actually a nice thing. The engine does feel a little better than the older car, but it really starts enjoying itself around third gear or so and gets better as you push it. Now, this car might look really hot, but the engine underneath is anything but. Sure, it'll get you there with a claimed mileage of 18.6 kilometers to the litre, and will do so quite efficiently. But that's all it's gonna do. Now, getting the somewhat meager power to the wheels is a 5-speed transmission that's slick enough and easy to use with short ratios, allowing you to change gears quickly. You also got an electrically powered steering that feels very light, especially at low speeds, and kind of weighs up as you build up the pace, but there isn't too much feel to it. Ironically, the Grand i10 has a better steering feel than this car. We said earlier that most of the power runs out at high speeds, and that is a little tragic because unlike most Hyundais, the new i20 feels very stable when you do eventually cross 100. It does not have that baby animal wobble you feel in the old car. Besides design, if there's one area that Hyundai is really catching up, it has to be handling. The current crop are a huge improvement over what preceded them. The new i20 actually feels controlled when you do hit a corner, and the reaction from you is elation rather than fear. But that joy quickly turns into disappointment as you realize how much fun you could have had in this car if only it had a little more power. Now, along with the handling, the ride too has improved, with the suspension eating up anything you throw at it. You're not going to feel much, but you will hear a bit of a thud if you hit something particularly vicious, like a huge speed breaker or a massive pothole. Which is nice because the insides of the i20 Elite are a fabulous place to be, especially if you're the one driving. Now, half the fun of owning a car is how it makes you feel and how many buttons you get to play with. And if you do spring for the top-end version of the Elite, you're not going to be missing out on anything. Because the dash is essentially designed to wrap itself around you. It's master, allowing you easy access to everything it has to offer, and that is quite a lot. So you've got climate control, Bluetooth for your phone, and a stereo that will play every single format of music out there with the exception of a cassette tape. The buttons are perfectly sized, and after just a few hours of driving this car, you'll know where everything is intuitively and find it without looking for it. Of course, you won't need to, considering you have all audio functions right on your steering wheel. Another feature I thought was cool was the one that tells you the position of your wheels when you start the car. If you've backed up into your parking, there's a good chance you haven't centered your wheels before turning everything off. Space inside the Elite has increased a slight bit. The wheelbase has increased in the new car and is slightly wider too, translating into more space inside the cabin. It will fit 5 somewhat comfortably, though the back could get a bit tight on headroom because of the slope of the roof. The rear seats do get an AC vent, but what is missing is an armrest in the center, which is kinda strange. Now, Hyundai formally launched this car only last month, and deliveries really haven't begun just yet. But this is the first Hyundai I've ever driven where people stop to look at it. And as the person inside, that feels pretty good. It's remarkably styled, full of features that would match any full-size sedan, and is pretty decent to drive in the city. It's natural habitat. In fact, its only drawback is that it's too dramatically styled. You'd expect crazy performance for a car that looks this hot, and you're not going to get it. Now, Hyundai have 4 trim levels for each of the engine options on offer, and prices begin at 4.89 lakhs for the low-end petrol, up to 6.47 lakhs for the top-end Asta petrol variant, while the diesels, being naturally pricier, begin at 6.10 lakhs for the bottom-of-the-barrel ERA variant, all the way up to 7.67 lakhs for the top-end model. Now, it does seem pricey, sure, especially for the higher-end models. But then Hyundai have always priced the i20 at a premium, and people didn't seem to mind that much. I have a feeling that with the i20 Elite, they won't mind that much either.